There comes a moment in a woman's life that no one truly prepares her for. It doesn't arrive with a loud bang or a sudden announcement. Instead, it slips in quietly, perhaps on a Tuesday morning, when the house feels too still, and the hours seem to stretch longer than they used to. The children have grown. The calendar, once filled with appointments, birthdays, and school events, now sits mostly blank. The phone rings less often. Doors stay closed more than they used to. And somewhere deep inside, a soft but painful question begins to whisper. Do I still matter now that no one needs me the way they once did? If you are a woman in your 60s, 70s, 80s, or beyond, and you find yourself living alone, please listen closely, because this is important. You are not alone in feeling this way. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. And you are certainly not finished. This chapter of life is not about disappearing. It is about becoming. Not becoming useful to others again, but becoming full of life for yourself. Not because someone is watching, not because you need to prove anything, but because this life is still yours and it still matters. So today, I want to walk beside you, not behind you, not in front of you, but as a friend, as a fellow traveler. Together, we will explore 8 soulful habits that can help you feel more joyful, more seen, and more deeply alive, even while living alone. Habit 1. Greet yourself with tenderness before anyone else has a chance to speak into your day. Before the television turns on, before the mail arrives, before the outside world has a single word to say, there's a precious moment that belongs only to you. It happens right after you open your eyes, when the light is just beginning to touch the edges of your room, and everything feels still. In that moment, you are not someone's mother, wife, or neighbor. You are simply a woman, breathing, present, and alive. And that is enough. Most of us were taught to begin the day by doing. Get up, make the bed, brew the coffee, check the clock, start moving, start being useful. But what if the very first thing you did each morning wasn't about productivity, but about tenderness? What if, before anything else, you gently place your hand on your chest and said, I am here. I am alive. I matter. What if you greeted yourself the way you would greet a dear friend, with softness, care, and presence? This is what I call a morning ritual. Not a routine, not a checklist, but a sacred beginning, a pause, a moment of truth. You don't need incense or a special meditation pillow. You don't even need to sit up right away. You just need to mean it. Your ritual might be lighting a candle and watching the flame dance. It might be playing one favorite piece of music as the sun rises. It might be sitting with your tea, feeling the warmth in your hands, and letting the stillness of the morning wrap around you like a shawl. It's not about what you do. It's about how you do it. Because how you start your day shapes everything that follows. If you begin by honoring yourself, gently, quietly, you carry that energy into the rest of your hours. You are no longer chasing meaning. You are bringing it with you. So tomorrow morning, before the world enters your life, enter your own soul first. Greet yourself with the same grace you've shown others for so many years. Because, dear heart, you are still worthy of tenderness, and it begins with how you say good morning to yourself. Habit 2. Practice honest, gentle gratitude. There's a common misunderstanding about gratitude. Somewhere along the way, it became tied to forced positivity. The idea that we must smile through hard days, pretend everything is fine, and believe that if we're not constantly thankful, we're somehow ungrateful. But that is not real gratitude. True gratitude is not loud. It is not fake. It does not ignore pain or erase sorrow. It sits quietly beside the hard things and whispers, even now, there is still beauty. Gratitude, when it is honest and gentle, becomes a form of survival, a way to keep your heart soft even when the world feels sharp. Maybe you live alone now, after years of caring for others. Maybe mornings feel hollow and memories come like waves. Maybe you are grieving not just people, but chapters, versions of yourself, moments you can't get back. If that is true for you, please know this. You are not failing. Some days will feel heavy. And on those days, gratitude does not ask you to push that heaviness away. It simply invites you to also notice the warmth of your tea, the bird song outside your window, the comfort of your favorite sweater, the way your hands still remember how to fold, pour, stir, and hold. There's a woman named Linda age 79, who once told me she started keeping a small joys notebook. After losing her husband, mornings became painful. She would wake up with a deep ache in her chest and a sense that there was nothing left to look forward to. Her therapist asked her to try writing down 3 things each day, 3 things that brought her even a small moment of comfort. At first, Linda resisted. She said, "What could possibly be good right now?" But eventually, she tried. Her first list was simple: the smell of toast, a warm shower, a single bird that landed on the porch rail. She didn't cry that day. And the next morning, she looked for more. Now she says, "I don't force myself to be grateful. I just try to notice the things I used to miss." That's all it takes. Noticing, letting gratitude in, even for 30 seconds, makes space for joy to return. Even when grief is still sitting beside you, you can start tonight. You don't need a fancy journal. Just a scrap of paper, your voice, or a whisper before sleep. Ask yourself, what comforted me today? What made me smile, even just for a moment? What beauty did I notice? However small, this practice does not erase pain, but it can hold your hand while you walk through it. And in that holding, there is peace. Habit 3, speak, even if it's just hello. There is a certain kind of silence that does not come from peace. It comes from absence. It builds slowly over time. After the children leave home, after friends move away, after partners pass, after social circles quietly shrink. One day, you realize a full day has passed and you haven't said a single word out loud. Not because you wanted it that way, not because you were hiding, but simply because no one was around to speak to. That kind of silence can start to feel heavy, not just around you, but inside you, like a fog in your chest, like a growing distance between you and the rest of the world. And if that feeling sounds familiar, I want to tell you something important. You are not the only one, and there is nothing wrong with you. But there is something you can do, something small, something powerful. Speak, even if it's just one word, even if it's just hello. You don't need to hold a deep conversation. You don't need to share your whole story. You simply need to use your voice, not for someone else, but for yourself, because your voice is more than sound. It is proof of your presence. It is a thread that ties you to the rhythm of life happening around you, even when life feels distant. Speaking is a form of self-recognition. When you say hello to a neighbor, a store clerk, or someone passing on the street, what you are really saying is, I still exist. I still belong. I am still here. And in turn, you remind the other person that they are still here too. There is something deeply healing about that exchange, about that moment of acknowledgement. It might seem small, but it is never meaningless. Sometimes the hardest part is not the speaking itself. It is choosing to break the silence. When no one is called in days, when no text has come through, when the mailbox is empty and no one's been by in a while, it can feel easier to stay silent than to risk feeling unseen. But here's the truth. You are seen. You are worthy of connection. And you do not need to wait for someone else to make the first move. Say good morning to the woman walking her dog past your house. Compliment the teenager bagging your groceries. Call your sister, even if the last time you spoke felt distant. Text a friend, not with a long update, just with a simple thinking of you. Speak to yourself in the mirror, not because it's silly, but because it's grounding. It reminds your spirit, I still have a voice. I still have something to offer. If you haven't spoken much lately, if you feel a little out of practice, that's okay. There's no need to be eloquent. You don't need to say something profound. You just need to start. Your voice doesn't have to sound strong. It only needs to be real. Speaking isn't always about words. It's about presence. It's about showing up for your own life, even if all you say is hello. Because when you choose to speak, even a single word, you break the spell of isolation. You light a small candle against the darkness. You remind yourself that you still have the power to connect, and that, dear one, can be the beginning of everything. Habit 4. Offer a drop of kindness each day. When life becomes quieter, it can sometimes feel like your purpose has faded with the noise. When there are no more children to care for, no colleagues to support, no bustling schedule to hold together, it's easy to ask, who do I serve now? Who still needs what I have to give? The answer is simpler than we think. You still serve the world. You still have something beautiful to offer. It's not about grand gestures anymore. You don't need to be busy or useful in the old ways. Your kindness, even the smallest drop of it, still carries weight, still creates ripples, still matters. Every day, no matter how ordinary, holds at least one quiet opportunity to offer something of yourself to someone else. A kind word, a short message, a compliment, a prayer, a thank you note, a memory shared, a smile that lingers. These small acts are not just nice things to do. They are powerful reminders that you are still connected to the thread of life. Kindness does not have to cost you energy you don't have. In fact, the right kind of kindness doesn't drain you, it nourishes you. Because when you give love, you also receive a little bit of your own heart in return. Maybe you can't go out volunteering or host a dinner like you once did. That's okay. Kindness has many shapes now. Maybe it's checking in on someone younger. Maybe it's mailing a birthday card to a niece. Or offering encouragement to a stranger online. Maybe it's listening more than speaking. Or simply being present for someone who is hurting. And perhaps most importantly, maybe the person who needs your kindness today is you. Yes, kindness begins at home, with how you speak to yourself, with how you forgive yourself, with how you allow yourself to rest and release guilt for not doing more. Every drop of compassion you extend to yourself expands your ability to share it with the world. You are not done giving. You are simply giving in a softer, wiser, deeper way. So let one small act of kindness, just one, mark your day. It doesn't have to change the world, but it might change you, and that is more than enough. Habit 5, anchor your days in gentle rhythm. When life slows down and the responsibilities that once shape your day begin to fade, time can start to feel loose, unstructured, endless. Not always in a freeing way, but in a confusing one. You wake up when you wake up. Meals don't happen at regular times. The hours pass not in flow, but in drift. At first, it might feel like freedom. Finally, no schedule, no clock to answer to. But over time, the absence of rhythm can start to wear on the spirit. Days blend into each other. You begin to forget what day it is. The silence becomes heavier, not peaceful. And without meaning to, life begins to feel like it's happening in slow motion, or not at all. That's why this habit matters so deeply. Creating rhythm in your day is a quiet way of telling yourself, my time is still sacred. This doesn't mean filling every minute. It's not about being productive or busy. It's about creating a few simple anchors in your day, moments that give your time a sense of shape, your heart a sense of presence, and your spirit something to look forward to. Rhythm doesn't have to be complicated. It can start with waking up at the same time each day, even if there's no place to be. It can be as simple as having your tea at the kitchen table every morning, looking out the same window, taking a short walk after lunch, listening to music before you prepare dinner, or writing one line in a notebook before you turn off the light at night. These are not rules. They are gentle rituals. They tell your body and mind, this moment belongs to me, and I choose to show up for it. There's a quiet power in knowing what comes next, not because life demands it, but because you chose it. This kind of self-created rhythm builds stability inside of you. It brings back a sense of momentum, the feeling that even though the world has gotten quieter, you are still in motion. Even the smallest rituals, watering your plants each morning, making the bed, stretching for 5 minutes, serve as quiet reminders. You are still here, your life still is shape, and you still deserve to feel rooted inside it. So, if your days have been feeling too open, too loose, or even a little lost, try building just 1 or 2 anchors into your routine. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for presence. Because your life now isn't meant to feel like it's slipping through your fingers. It's meant to feel like something you're gently shaping, day by day, with love. Habit 6. Let your mind wander into wonder. Your mind is still a garden, and it is still blooming, even now. Staying mentally alive doesn't require formal education or big goals. It simply requires permission to wonder again, to explore, to delight, to learn, not because you have to, but because it feels good to open a window inside your mind. Watch a documentary that stretches your thinking. Read a poem and let yourself feel it. Look up the history of something you've always been curious about. Ask new questions. Take in something unfamiliar and let it stir you. These are not signs of youth. These are signs of aliveness. Even learning one new word a week, one new recipe a month, or one fact about the stars above you, these are seeds planted in the soil of your spirit. Let me share a little story. There was a woman who once told me she felt her thoughts were beginning to blur. She described her mind as foggy, like nothing stuck anymore. She had stopped reading, stopped listening to music, stopped asking questions. Not because she didn't care, but because she believed that part of her life was over. One day, she found an old notebook at the back of a drawer. It was filled with quotes and ideas she had written down in her 40s and 50s. She flipped through the pages slowly, remembering the woman who once filled them. That night, she picked up a pen again. Just 5 minutes, just a few sentences about something she had learned that day. She said, "I'm not trying to be smart again. I just want to feel awake." And that's the heart of it. We are not trying to chase achievement. We are simply choosing to stay present, to stay interested, and to know that our minds, like our hearts, still deserve movement. So ask yourself gently, what would feel interesting today? What topic, idea, sound, or memory would I like to sit with for a few moments? Then give yourself permission to explore, because you are not done learning. You are not done blooming. And the wonder you welcome into your mind will reflect outward, in your energy, your joy, and the stories you still have left to tell. Habit 7, move your body like it's a prayer. Somewhere along the way, movement became a task, an obligation, something tied to numbers and results. How many calories burned? How many steps walked? How long? How far? It became about fixing the body, improving it, disciplining it. And that might have worked for a time. But now, in this season of life, your body asks for something different. It does not need punishment. It needs reverence. This body, your body, has carried you through decades, through children, through heartbreak, through change, illness, joy, grief, love, and fear. It is not broken. It is not behind. It is not too old. It is holy. It is still here. And it deserves to be moved with care. Movement now is not about exercise. It is not about keeping up. It is about returning to yourself, reconnecting breath and bones, allowing motion to remind you that you are still very much alive. You don't have to go to a gym or follow a routine. You don't have to stretch for an hour or walk miles. You simply have to listen to your body and move it in a way that says, "Thank you." Stretch your arms gently as the sun rises. Roll your shoulders slowly at the sink. Sway to your favorite song while your tea steeps. Walk to the window and let your feet remember the feeling of being grounded. Let movement become a kind of prayer, not a demand, but a devotion. Each movement is an offering to the body that has loved you, protected you, fought for you. You may have scars. You may have pain. You may move slower than before. That is not failure. That is living. When you move with kindness, you shift the relationship you have with your body from criticism to gratitude. You begin to see it not as something that has changed, but as something that has endured. So tomorrow, before the world enters your day, move just a little. Not because you should, but because you can. Because movement is proof that your story is still in motion. And because your body, exactly as it is, still knows how to dance and still deserves to. Habit 8. Sit with yourself and listen. We live in a world that never stops talking. Television, notifications, background noise. Even when life is quiet around you, your mind may still be loud, replaying the past, worrying about the future, filling the silence with questions that never get answers. But beneath all that noise, there is something softer and more sacred, waiting to be heard. It is the sound of your own wisdom. As women, many of us spent years, maybe most of our lives, being defined by others. Someone's wife, someone's mother, someone's caregiver. We were busy doing, managing, giving, and there was never much space to pause and ask, what do I need? Who am I becoming? What I really feel? But now, with time and space, comes an invitation to listen, not to the world, but to yourself. Not to plan, not to fix, not to relive what cannot be changed, but to sit in stillness and let your soul rise to the surface. This habit does not require silence outside of you. It only asks for presence inside of you. You can sit in your chair with a warm drink. You can lie in bed before sleep. You can watch the moon through your window. However you do it, allow yourself just 5 or 10 minutes to breathe and ask, what touched my heart today? What did I learn about myself? About someone else? About life? What do I need more of tomorrow? You don't need to write it down. You don't need to record it. You just need to be with it. Because the woman you are now, the one who has survived so much, grown through so much, carried so much, she deserves to be listened to, not dismissed, not rushed, not quieted. When you sit with yourself in that way, something shifts. You begin to feel not only clarity, but dignity. You start to remember that this chapter of your life is not a slow fade, but a powerful return to who you really are, not who the world said you were, but who your soul has always known you to be. This stillness is not emptiness. It is fullness. This quiet is not loneliness. It is deep connection with your own truth. And when you build this habit, even just a few minutes a day, you begin to feel more rooted, less shaken, more at home inside your own story. Because in that sacred silence, you do not disappear. You reappear, whole, present, alive. You just walk through 8 gentle, soulful habits. Not rules, not obligations, but invitations. Invitations to return to yourself, to rediscover joy, presence, and meaning in the everyday. And maybe as you listened, something stirred in you, a memory, a longing, a quiet yes. Maybe one of these habits felt like something you've been waiting for. Or maybe it reminded you of a part of yourself you haven't spoken to in a while. Whatever you felt, know that it matters. Because this chapter of your life is not a waiting room. It is not the end. It is a blooming. You are still becoming, not less, not faded, not behind, but more whole, more wise, more deeply you. So begin gently. Just one habit, one moment, one breath. You don't need to change your entire life. You only need to show up for it, one sacred day at a time. And above all, please remember this. You are not invisible. You're not too late. You are not alone. You are still writing your story. And it is far from over. Let that truth carry you into tomorrow with softness, with hope, and with the quiet power of a woman who still knows how to live with heart.